Hey there, it's Sunday morning, and I just released the video on making this guy right here. This is a workmate ripoff, I guess you could say. It's a version of the older solid workmate that you used to be able to get. Or I don't even know if you can still get it. I just know that it was around many years ago. And I know you can get real cheap ones now that are not very good at all, but that's not the ones I'm talking about. The older ones are solid metal that fold under and stuff like that. This is meant to replicate that, but with an additional feature of having a step ladder built in. There's 2 steps right here. And it has the vise on top that has 2 cranks on each side. And then I also added this piece in the middle here that can be taken out quickly. And what that does is it makes a solid top on top. Here, I'll tighten it up again and I'll angle it down a bit so you can see it. You can see it. You can see it. Yeah. So yeah, this was a big project, and I designed this many years ago, and just now got around to building it, well, a couple months ago anyway. And like I said before, I'm slowing things down. I'm not, I'm not going to be pumping out content anymore. But what I am going to be putting out, I hope, will be interesting and well made, and the videos to go along with it a little bit longer, as usual. Now, I should say that I made a couple of mistakes on this. The mistakes originate in my design. Well, one of them did anyway. And that's mainly to do with this joint up here. First, I designed this to be articulating right here. And it needs to be fixed. Either this joint needs to be fixed here on both sides, or, and this is probably better because it would fold up more, a little bit more compact maybe, make this joint on the back here fixed and have this one hinged. Because you want it to fold up so it'll be flatter, so it'll take up less space. And you do that by, I got too much junk on my workbench here, sorry, but you do that like that, okay? And if this back one was fixed instead of the front one, then it might be more compact. I'd have to draw it out. Really, it's not gonna make that much of a difference because, you got the size of the top here. That's going to determine a lot. That's actually what I was thinking about when I made this joint articulate or fold or hinged, is that it would fold flatter if that was the case. However, you can't have that. It will not, it'll collapse. It won't completely collapse, but it will start to collapse. And that's not good when you're using this as a step ladder. You want it to be solid. So yeah. So there's that, and also another big feature of it is that the legs fold. And I can try to do that here on the camera by, you press in these things here that I've got. They're a little bit tricky because they're spring loaded, so you want to get one started and then the other one started as well. And then they fold up and they lock in place, like so. And then you can take the whole thing and set it down like that, and you can unlock this joint over here, unlock this one as well. They're a little bit stiff because they haven't been used, right? And the rubber's still pretty hard. And then that one folds under as well. So what it does is it makes for a shorter bench, like that, right? Yeah, which is handy if you're hand sawing stuff, right? That'll be a better height to get your knee on top. Well, you don't have to hold the stock down with your knee, although it'd be nice to do that every once in a while instead of engaging the vise and whatever. But yeah, a lower height. Also, you still have the step. It's not as high up. Like I could have made it higher to make that single step that's left after it's folded to be, like a more reasonable step height. And then you could actually stand on top of this too. But I actually tried it, and I can step from here up onto this, no problem. And this is a good working height if you've got a taller ceiling, say more than 8 feet, right? Or if you're shorter. I'm not super tall, but I'm not short either. But if you're shorter and standing on this 8-foot ceiling, almost perfect working height, you know, if you're up there rolling or doing something. Some people will put wallpaper on their ceiling. So yeah, you could use it for that. And it's a big platform too, you know, and it's completely stable, right? It won't tip over on you. So yeah, that's that. Another mistake I made was not making this part right here. I talked about this in the video. One of my rare build videos lately where I actually show up and do some talking in person, kind of like standing there explaining. But yeah, I should have had 2 layers of 1/2-inch plywood here instead of 3/4-inch plywood. I don't know what I was thinking. I drew the plan. I knew what I was doing when I drew the plan. I had 2 layers here in the plan, and I ignored that. I said, no, 3/4 will work there. Probably work better because it's solid to drive screws in. You won't be driving them in just like the joint between 2 pieces. But no, you need 2 layers here. Otherwise, these legs won't fold under, which is part of a big part of the design of the thing, that these legs fold under and make this whole thing shorter. So I've taken it off my workbench and put it on the floor there, and it's still folded down to the lower position. I put my foot up on top of it here like that. You can see, actually maybe, no, you can see my knee right here. That would be the height. So you can get your knee down on it to hold the stock while you're hand sawing. And, you know, when you need it taller, you unfold the legs and make it taller. So yeah, it's a good thing. Even though I made mistakes, it's still working great. One of the big things about this is that mechanism that locks the legs in place, how robust and repairable that is. I spent a lot of time designing that, trying different things, and my original design was a lot more complex and more flimsy, and I kind of fell into this almost like it just occurred to me, and I said, no, that's the best way to do it, so I went with that. And it's a lot more rugged, and the main thing is that you can take it apart and replace parts if they wear out. You know, if something breaks there, then you can replace it. You can unscrew it, take it apart, and fix it. So that's enough about the bench. What else have I been up to? I have been making videos, not videos, on my audio channel. Quite a few of those over the past few months. I know I haven't been putting anything on here that's been unlisted, but the videos that I've been putting on here are unlisted. They're the actual parts of these builds that I've been doing to put on Patreon locals for my supporters there. So if you're into that, they're actually longer. They got a little bit more detail. Each one of the ones I put, there were 3 for this one. I didn't put the final one, so that's kind of the hook there. You have to watch the last one. Like, you have to watch the final part of the build on my main channel. But the first 3 parts of it were on locals and Patreon. And I had parts there where I was explaining what I was doing, you know. So a little bit more detail if you're into that. Also, if you want to help support what I'm doing here. Although, like I said, I'm slowing things down. There won't be as many videos. And of course, that impacts how much people are involved. They, you know, if you're not pumping out a video every week, then they kind of get disinterested. But I have been putting out videos on my audio channel, which a lot of you probably aren't interested in either. And this is something that I promised myself long ago. I might have mentioned this before in another video, but you know, I was working towards a point where I could slack off enough to get back into that in a more serious way. And I've done that. And I've got a couple of speaker builds coming up, both of which will show up on my main channel. The final build will, but I'll be making videos in the meantime that'll go on there, that'll go into a bit more detail on the design process and parts of the build. Well, much like I did with my main speakers that I'm using down in my listening room right now. Like I did several videos leading up to the full build that I put on my main channel, and those were on my audio channel. So yeah, it's been a few months since I put a video on here, and not much has changed in my shop. You know, I've been working on this, I've been working on some other things. I did a big cleanup a couple of times in the meantime. It's a big mess again, although not unmanageable. My biggest issue that I have in here right now is that I still have too much material at the front of the shop, no place to put it. Lumber rack is full, everything. I've even got 4 sheets of stock out in my van. I had 2 sheets of OSB that I had in here and I was going to do something with. I had to bring those out to clear enough space so I could get at my cabinets down there and get the hardware out for this project. So I just put them out in the van. You know, it's a good thing about those bigger minivans, you can put a full sheet in there and not worry about it. In fact, I've got 4. I've got two pieces of 3/4 inch plywood maple in there, and they've been in there for a couple of months as well. And then the 2 sheets of 1/2 inch OSB that I bought to mock up stuff with, to do rough builds with. I bought that after the price dropped down to within reason again. Because at one point, that stuff was up around $50 a sheet for OSB, for 1/2 inch OSB. It's crazy. So yeah, those will be, I don't want to go into it. I haven't really decided yet what I'm going to do with those. The maple though, I've got a couple of projects that are coming up. One is long promised. That's the banquette for my kitchen / dining room area. It's going to be a built-in bench. That's what a banquette is, L-shaped, and I was going to use some of the plywood for that. Also, I've got a built-in down in my basement at the bottom of the stairs. There's an area there that's about 10 feet long by about 5 feet wide. So I call it like the lobby outside my listening room and at the bottom of the stairs. And I wanted to build some base cabinets there, kind of floating, have a floating look anyway, and I'll be using the maple for that. Oh, okay, I remember what I was going to have to do with the OSB. And then shelves, L-shaped shelves that are kind of floating as well, and those will be made from the OSB. Now that sounds kind of crappy, but I was going to do it nice. So there'd be several shelves there for DVDs and CDs. I started collecting CDs again after either losing or getting rid of, selling off the CDs that I had collected in the past. I've been rebuilding my collection to have, I don't collect records, so I'm collecting CDs. I ripped them to my computer. I don't listen to the CDs. I ripped them to my computer and I listen to them from there in my listening room. Okay, so yeah, that's a couple of projects coming up. The banquette, I think that's going to be first. And then that thing down in the basement. Before I do that, I had to finish the floor down there that I didn't do. After I did the floor in the listening room, I didn't finish that floor outside of it. But I got that finished and it's ready to go now. Other than it needs a couple of coats of water-based polyurethane on it to finish that off. And then I can build that base cabinet and the shelves to go up on the wall.
Hey, Chili, is this your ride?
Yeah, I'd like to sit up high, check everything out. I mean, it is the Cadillac of minivans.
Oh.
Yeah, check this out.
Wow. You mind if I take it for a spin?